Welcome all to the course of Data Communication and Networking, BE 7th semester, Electronics and Communication Engineering. Today we start a new point, a topic called as an network layer, address mapping and error reporting and multicasting. So we start our discussion with our address mapping concept, and first of all introduce our network layer. In the previous session we have discussed about the internet protocol is the main protocol at the network layer, and IP was designed as the best effort delivery protocol, but it lacks some features such as flow control and error control. It is a host to host protocol using a logical addressing. To make an IP more responsive to some requirements in the today's internet networking, we need the help of other protocols. We need protocols to create a mapping between physical and the logic address. IP packets use logical host to host addresses. These packets, however, needs to be encapsulated in the frame which needs a physical addresses, just like our node to node addressing. We will see that the protocol called ARP, just like our address resolution protocol, is designed for this purpose. We sometimes need reverse mapping, just mapping of a physical address to a logical address. For example, when booting a diskless network or leasing an IP address to the host, three protocols are designed for this purpose. First is ARP, then is BootTP and DHCP. The lack of flow and error control in the internet protocol has resulted in the another protocol called as an ICMP that provides an alerts. It reports congestion and some types of error in the network or a destination host. An IP was originally designed for a unicast delivery, one source to the one destination. As an internet has evolved, the need for the multicast delivery, one source may to the many destination, has increased tremendously. And IGMP gives IP a multicast capability. In this point, we discuss the protocols just like our ARP, RARP, BootTP, DHCP and IGMP in detail. We also discuss an ICMP version 6 in a brief view. What is the ICMP version 6? It is a combines of ARP, ICMP and IGMP in one entire protocol. So starting with our address mapping concept. So what is the address mapping? In an internet is made of a combination of physical networks connected by the internetworking devices such as routers. A packet starting from the source host may pass through the several different physical networks before finally reaching the destination host. The host and the routers are recognized at the network layer by their IP addresses, just like our logic addresses. However, packets pass through a physical networks to reach these hosts and routers. At the physical level, the host and the routers are recognized by their physical addresses. Physical addresses is a local addresses. It just a jurisdiction in the local network. It must be a unique locally, but it is not necessarily unique universally. It is called a physical address because it usually implemented in a hardware. An example of this physical address is 48-bit MAC address in the Ethernet protocol, which is impaired on the NIC installed in our host or a router. The physical addresses and the logical addresses are the two different identifiers. We need both because a physical network such as Ethernet can have two different protocols at the network layer such as IP and IPv6 at the same time. Likewise, a packet at the network layer such as IP may pass through the different physical networks such as Ethernet or local talk, just like our Apple. This means that delivery of a packet to the host or to the routers requires two levels of addressing, logical and physical. We need to be able to map logical addresses to its corresponding physical addresses and vice versa. This can be done by using an either static or dynamic mapping. So in your mind, then what is a static and what is a dynamic mapping? So let's discuss a static mapping. A static mapping involves in the creation of table that associates a logical addresses with a physical addresses. This table is stored in each machine on the network. Each machine that knows, for example, an IP address of another machine but does not its physical address can look up it in the table. This has some limitation because the physical addresses may change in the following ways. A machine could change its NIC resulting in a new physical address. Second case, in some LANs such as our local talk, the physical address changes every time the computer is turned on. A mobile computer can move from one physical network to the another, resulting in a change in its physical address. To implement these changes, our static mapping table must be updated periodically. This overhead could affect our network performance. In the dynamic mapping, each time a machine knows one of the two addresses, logical address or physical address, it can use a protocol to find the one another or each one. So it is clear to you that what is a static and dynamic mapping. In this session, following topic to be discussed over here, mapping logical to physical is called as an ARP protocol, and mapping a physical to logical address is called as an RARP, BOOTP and DHCP. So starting with our ARP protocol. So our ARP protocol is used to map our logical address to the physical address. Anytime a host or a router has an IP datagram to send to the another host or a router, it has a logical addresses to the receiver. A logical IP address is combined or obtained from the DNS if a sender is the host or it is found a routing table. If the sender is a router, but an IP datagram must be encapsulated in the frame to be able to pass through the physical network. This means that the sender needs the physical address of the receiver. The host or the router sends an ARP query packet. A packet includes a physical and the IP address of the sender and the IP address of the receiver. Because the sender does not know the physical address of the receiver, the query is broadcasted over the network. To understand this concept, you just see this figure. One query asked by system A that it will be requested by this IP address, it will be broadcasting all the station. Fine. every host or a router on the network receives the packet and process an ARP query packet, but only the intended, just like in our case B, recipient recognize its IP address and sends back then ARP response. The response packet contains the recipient's IP and physical address. The packet is unicast directly to the inquirer by using a physical address received by the query packet. So in this first figure, the system of to the left, just like A, has a packet that needs to be delivered to the another system just like our B with an IP address of 141.23.56.23. System A needs to pass the packets to its data link layer for the actual delivery, but it does not know the physical address of the recipients. It uses a service of an ARP by asking the ARP protocol to send a broadcast ARP request packet, who asks for the physical address of the system with an IP address of following. This packet is received by every system on the physical network, but only a system B will answer it, as you can see in this figure. System B sends an ARP reply packet that includes its physical address. Now system A can send all the packets to this destination by using the physical address of received. A cache memory. Using a ARP is insufficient in the system A needs to broadcast an ARP request. For each IP packet, it needs to send a system B. It could have a broadcast to the IP packet itself. ARP can be useful if ARP reply is cached. Keep it in a cache memory for a while, because a system is normally sends several packets to the same destination. A system that receives an ARP reply stores the mapping in the cache memory and keeps it for 20 to 30 minutes unless the space in the cache is exhausted. Before sending to the ARP request, the system first checks in a cache to see if it can find the mapping. Fine. So it will be easy for our system that a cache memory have a data for the transmission. So what are the packet format of our ARP? So this figure shows the format of an ARP packet. Following fields are there. First is a hardware type. This is a 16-bit field defining the type of the network on which ARP is running. Each LAN has been assigned an integer based on its type. For example, Ethernet is given type 1. ARP can use only physical network. Second is a protocol type. This is a 16-bit field defining the protocol. For example, the value of this field for the IPv4 protocol is 0800 in hexadecimal. ARP can be used with any higher level protocol. Next is hardware length. This is an 8-bit field defining the length of the physical address in bytes. For example, Ethernet value is 6. Protocol length. This is an 8-bit field defining the length of the logical address in the bytes. For IPv4 protocol, its value is 4. Operation. This is a 16-bit field defining the type of the packet. Two packet types are defined: ARP request and ARP reply. Sender hardware address. This is a variable length field defining the physical address of the sender. For example, Ethernet, this field is a 6 byte long. Sender protocol address. This is a variable length field defining the logical address or a IP address of the sender. For the IP protocol, the field is 4 byte long. Next is a target hardware address. This is a variable length field defining a physical address of the target. For example, for the Ethernet, this field has a 6 byte long. For an ARP request message, this field is zeros because the sender does not know the physical address of the target. Last one is a target protocol address. This is a variable length field defining the logical address of the target, just like a IP address of a target. For the IPv4, field is 4 byte. Encapsulation. The ARP packet is encapsulated directly into the data link frame. Our figure shows an ARP packet is encapsulated in the Ethernet frame. Note that the type field indicates that the data is carried by the frame that are an ARP packet. Okay. So what is the operation? Let us see how our ARP functions on a typical internet. First we describe the steps involved, then we discuss 4 cases in which a host or a router needs to use an ARP. These are the steps involved in the ARP process. First one, the sender knows the IP address of the target. Second, IP asks ARP to create an ARP request message filling the sender's and physical address, the sender IP address and the target IP address. The target physical address field is filled with 0. The message is passed to the data link layer where it is encapsulated in the frame by using a physical address of a sender as a source address and the physical broadcast address for the destination address. Every host or a router receives the frame because a frame contains a broadcast destination address. All stations remove the message and pass it to the ARP. All machines except the one targeted drop the packet. The target machine recognizes the IP address. The target machine replies with an ARP reply message that contains in a physical address. The message is unicast. The sender receives the reply message. It knows the physical address of the target machine. The IP datagram which carries the data for the target machine is now encapsulated in the frame and unicast to the destination. So, 4 different cases. Following are the 4 different cases in which a service of an ARP can be used. Case 1. Over here, the sender is a host and wants to send a packet to the another host of the same network. In this case, the logical address that must be mapped to the physical address in the destination IP address for the datagram header. Second case, the sender is a host that wants to send a packet to the another host on the another network. In this case, a host looks at its routing table and finds the IP address of the next hop or a router for this destination. If it does not have a routing table, it looks for the IP address of a default router. The IP address of a router becomes the logical address that must be mapped to the physical address. Case 3. The sender is a router. Okay, you can see over here the sender and the receiver both are router. A sender is a router that has received a datagram designed for the host on the other network. It checks its routing table and finds the IP address of the next router. The IP address of the next router becomes the logical address of the and that must be mapped to the physical address. A fourth case, the sender is a router that has received a datagram designed for the host to the same network. A destination IP address of the datagram becomes a logical address that must be mapped to the physical addresses. So it is are four different scenarios as we can face for a ARP protocol. So an ARP request is a broadcast where our ARP reply is unicast. So it is an example. For example, you see the figure. A host with an IP address of 130.23.43.20 and physical address is B2 34 55 10 22 10 has a packet to send to the another host with an IP address of 130.23.43.25 with a physical address of A4 6E F4 5983 AB. It is unknown for this first host. The two hosts are on the same Ethernet network, so the ARP request and reply packets encapsulated in the Ethernet frame. Our figure shows an ARP request and reply packets. It is a request packet and reply packet. Note that ARP data field in this case is a 28 bytes. That is the individual address that do not fit to the 4-byte boundary. That is why we do not show the regular 4-byte boundaries in these addresses. A proxy ARP. A technique called proxy ARP is used to create a subnetting effect. A proxy ARP is an ARP that acts as on behalf of the set of the hosts. Whenever a router running a proxy ARP receives a ARP request looking for the IP address of the one of these hosts, the router sends the ARP reply announcing its own hardware or physical address. After the router receives the actual IP packet, it sends the packet to the appropriate host router. As you can see in this figure, the ARP installed on the rightmost host, it will answer only to the ARP request with an IP target to the 141.23.56.23. Fine. However, the administrator may need to create a system without changing the whole system to recognize the subnetted addresses. One solution is to add a router running a proxy ARP. Over here you can see. In this case, router acts on behalf of all the hosts installed on the subnet. When it receives an ARP request with a target IP address that matches the address of one of its connections, just like over here 21, 22 and 23. It sends an ARP reply and announces its hardware address as a target hardware address. When the router receives an IP packet, it sends the packet to the appropriate host. Okay, so it is the end of our session. Let's revise our session. We started our session with an introduction of our network layer and address mapping. We have defined static and dynamic mapping. We started our discussion with a mapping of logic to the physical address called as an address resolution protocol. We have defined an operation of ARP. Then we defined an ARP packet and discuss various fields of its packet. Then an encapsulation of ARP. After that, we have discussed 4 different cases of an ARP. We have seen an example of an ARP request and reply. After that, an proxy ARP has been discussed. So it is a question for you. Write down in your notebook. We will continue our discussion in the next session from an address mapping of a remaining physical to the logical address mapping. Fine. So thank you students, see you in the next session.